going to talk about hydrangeas. I talked about them before, but the reason I want to talk about them is they look so good. They really, really are good this year. That's the great thing about gardening. It's a bit hit and miss. Sometimes you plant something and you have all this great enthusiasm and you think great things are going to happen, and it's a bit of a disappointment, and then you plant something else and you don't really take much notice of what you're planting, and that turns out to be brilliant. It's a bit like life gardening. Here we are, this is not about hydrangeas. Look what happened here. This crocosmia, it was meant to be much darker, and with a tiny touch of pink in it to counteract the lovely lemon yellow coreopsis. It turned out the wrong colour, but I think it's even better. Doesn't that colour yellow really show the paleness of this yellow, the difference of this yellow, and the totally different structure of the flowers? Just worked out really well, totally by accident. I won't align with that though. Here we have hydrangea Annabelle, and sometimes that's flops for people. They call it hydrangea flopabelle. But if it's in a dryish situation and the tree pulls a lot of the water away, it doesn't grow so strongly, so it doesn't flop. If you have it in a rich situation and you cut it hard back and you get a lot of rich growth, it'll flop. In which case you plant hydrangea incredible. But for normal situations, hydrangea Annabelle is the one to use. And now we'll have a look over here. We won't look at, that's another one here, but we won't talk about that one. We keep going. That's a nice lace cap. Nice lace cap. Unfortunately, it doesn't fade great. You can see sometimes that happens with them. It doesn't fade. Some of the lighter colours doesn't show as it fades. Now look how good it is when it's young, when it's fresh. Still worth having. And we want to talk about this hydrangea, known as PGs in America. Paniculate. It's a paniculate hydrangea, Paniculata grandiflora, and the Americans call them PGs. I used to actually think it was an American plant, but funny enough, the arborescens is the American hydrangea, and this is Paniculata. Is an Asiatic species, but it does very well in America. And it flowers on the young wood, so it can be cut hard back in the spring, and it will still flower. If you cut it hard back, you get bigger flower heads. But I don't think it's particularly necessary to do that. Maybe next year I'll cut it back. I don't know. So that's variety called Limelight. It is hard to beat Limelight. There's lots of new fancy varieties on the go. Some of these fancy varieties look well in a pot and they sell well in the garden centre. Whether they are any good in the garden, time will only tell. This one is always good in the garden. So hydrangea Limelight. And as we're here, look at this oregano. It's oregano LAEVIGATUM. It's the Turkish oregano, and it's not much culinary use. It doesn't have much smell, much sort of herby smell from it, but it seeds around nicely, and it gives a very long season of interest. And even when it's in bud, the buds themselves. I'll get a good example. Buds themselves are quite nice, quite colourful, and then the flowers are lighter against the dark buds. Good contrast. And here it's seeded here. It's seeded there. It's even hopped across the path and seeded in there. That's Organum LAEVIGATUM, Turkish oregano. We'll finish with that.